Thank you. Thank you for everyone for attending this webinar. I really hope that you can see us and hear us very well. The idea of this webinar is to present you the main new products that we developed this year. So the new malts, the new flakes, all the new product that we developed during last year, 2020. Because we had a lot of time because of the virus situation, and we decided to focus on developing new products. So I'm going to talk about this part, and then my colleague Gabriel is going to talk about to give you some useful tips about how to use agents, so the flakes, the raw cereals. And he's also going to speak a bit about Belgian season beers.
OK， 现在有几位朋友在聊天室里面和我说听不到啊，那请你们调试一下你们的音响设备。那我这边因为大部分人和我说是能听得见的，所以我们这边的会议室应该没有问题，请你们调试一下音响设备，然后再给我一个反馈，好吗？今天呢是城堡麦芽，比利时城堡麦芽公司在2021年的第一次网络研讨会。那么由于这个疫情的影响，所以国外的同事都不能到中国来，所以我们就在网络上给大家这样做一些分享。2020年呢，我们公司也新做了很多的新款的麦芽，所以今天呢主要是给大家分享一些这些信息。刚才说话的这位吉尔，就是在屏幕下方的名字显示 GIL 的这位同事。不好意思，有哪位同事还没有把那个您的声音关掉，请静音一下。我听到有声音，请您静音一下，这样的话，不然其他人都会听得到你的背景声音。是不是有一位在银行里面 ？OK， 那我继续说啊，刚才说话的这位叫吉尔，他是我们公司的研发部的一个负责人。他呢今天由他主讲来介绍一些麦芽，另外等会还有一位叫 Gabriel 加百利的同事，他会来给我们做一些具体的应用和分析。OK, Gil, you can continue, please.
Okay, you can move to the next slide, please.
你们都能看到我的那个分享的屏幕对吧？因为这个 PPT 是我在分享的，是中文显示的啊。
Okay, so I don't really know if most of you know Castle Malting. So Castle Malting is based in Belgium. It's a very old malting company. And well, you have a bit of information here about Castle Malting. I think what is really impressive about Castle Malting is that a long time ago, a few decades ago, there was still a lot of malt houses in Belgium. And they were quite small, like Castle Malting, and they couldn't survive because they couldn't be competitive anymore to produce Pilsen malts compared to modern malt house. So Castle Malting is still alive because this company decided to operate a shift to produce specialty malts. So we remain quite small, but we produce a lot of different specialty malts, and that's why we are still alive today.
OK， 那么首先呢，介绍一下城堡麦芽公司是1868年成立的，到现在有153年的历史。这个是比利时最古老的麦芽公司了，也是全世界最古老的制麦厂之一。那么这个视频上有显示。
这个应没问题，到时候我从这个从底到上啊，第一根圆管。
请那个参会的同事，麻烦你们把那个音响关闭一下啊，就是你们的那个麦克风
翅膀呢，我都下
静音一下。
没问题，没问题的。
请你们静音一下啊，要不然的话，这边背景声音我们都能听得到了。那城堡公司呢，因为它一个特点是比较古老，还有一个特点呢，它是比较小型，就是我们公司的产量并不是像很多主要生产基础麦芽的工厂一样非常大。那么之所以我们能存活到现在，还在这样的一个比较好，在全球有一个比较好的声誉和地位，主要是得益于我们的特种麦芽。OK.
Okay, you can move the slides, please. Okay, so maybe a few numbers to illustrate what is Castle Malting today. So as I say, it's a very old company. It was founded in 1868. And now we have about, well, over 3,500 brewers who like Castle Malting, and we supply them with really high specialty malts. We export these malts in over 147 countries. This year, well, last year, 2020, we succeeded to reach 100 types of malts. There's a product offer that you cannot find in any other malt house in the world. And we have mainly two facilities. One is the production site in Belleuil, and the other is a logistical center in Gland. And now we have a team of 90 people working in this company.
对，那么这边呢，这一页主要是给大家秀一些数据啊。刚刚我说的公司的成立年份是到现在是150多年的历史。那么我们现在在全球呢，大概有3500多家的客户，所以其实城堡麦芽在欧美还是比较受到酿酒师的欢迎和认可的。在国内可能其实现在随着我们这几年宣传力度的加大，应该也是有很多人都有听说过啊。那么我们目前呢，大部分的产量都是销往国外出口，大概全球有147个国家在使用城堡麦芽的产品。截止到2020年为止，我们已经有研发出了100多种麦芽，就是这个麦芽的品种达到了100多种，这个是全世界应该是我们公司是唯一的一家可以做到如此多的品种的一家制麦厂了。目前呢，公司有2个工厂，那么90多名员工。OK。
Okay, can move. Yeah. Okay. So.
哪个让我听
Slide before, please.
他们在做一个视频讲座，就是比利时麦芽厂。
是的，我们在做一个视频讲座，请这位先生您把那个音响关闭一下，静音。
好嘞，好的。
谢谢。OK.
So here is an overview of the number of products that we have, the number of malts. And you can see in red are the malts that we had in 2019. We had 74 malt products, and last year we quite increased this product range. As you can see, in green are the new products per category. So 26 new products that we added to our offering. As you can see on this slide, we first focused on specialty caramel malts. We also increased the organic malts, maybe not really an interest for China, I don't know. And then we also added a bit of wheat malts, specialty wheat roasted malts, and also chit and raw, well, flakes and raw cereals. So, and just one smoked malt and one roasted malt. So yeah, here is an overview of what we developed last year.
OK， 那么这张图呢，应该是我们公司所有产品品类的一个总的分表，大家可以看一下啊。就是在我们的公司，所有的品类基本上都是在这边。红色的字体是我们在去年之前都已经落地的，在输出的和使用的一些麦芽品种。那么绿色的这部分呢，是到2020年发展出来的，也就是说大概有70%多和20%多的这样的一个新旧的比例。那么今天呢，我们就是想给大家做一个简单的介绍，尤其是介绍一下我们的新品的这些款别。那么除了我们常规的基础麦芽、烘干麦芽，这两个大类呢，我们还有做焦糖麦芽，去年也是发展了很多新的颜色色度。除此以外呢，我们也有做威士忌酒的蒸馏麦芽、酸麦芽、烟熏麦芽等等。那么我们还同时可以提供像麦片还有生麦芽这一类别的比较新的、比较前沿的一些新款品种。那么在欧盟呢，大家知道可能对于环保比较重视，所以现在 有机麦芽在欧盟，我们今年是有推出一些优惠活动的，但在国内目前这个可能还没有完全推广开来。那么具体等一下我们可以等会聊到，在这个会议结束以后，你们也可以跟我单独的沟通。OK, Gil.
Move to the next, please.
OK. 请刚刚进会议室的同事朋友们，你们如果没有关闭你们的静音模式的话，请调节一下啊。OK.
So the malting process at Castle Malting is very traditional. I will say we go through the main 3 steps of the malting process that are steeping, germination, and kilning. We do it slowly, so basically 2 days, 4 days, and 2 days. Yeah, this is a very traditional way to produce malt.
OK, 那么城堡呢一直是遵循着非常传统的这种制麦的模式，我们不太会去加速啊，不会去加速它的生产过程和节约它的工艺。一般从浸泡到发芽到烘干，这些时间都是比如2天到4天，再到4天这样的再到2天，这个时间都是固定好的，所以我们不会在工艺上去节约这个时间和成本。OK.
Okay, and obviously, to produce specialty malts, we need some really good roasting technology. So the process that I explained it before, so steeping, germination, kilning, will only allow to produce a small number of specialty malts. To produce caramel malts or specialty roasted malts, we need roasters. So here are the 2 roasters that we have at Castle Malting. The one on the left are 2 roasting drums located at the base, and you can see all the tubes for the heat exchanges. And a special device that is a vessel that is a preparator to prepare the product. And the one on the right is a much more recent technology. So these are roasting towers, electrical towers, and they work with the photovoltaic panels that we have on the rooftops. So these are 2 different technologies to produce specialty malts.
OK. 那么在这张图上呢，给大家展示的是我们城堡公司的2个生产的设备啊，大型的设备。左边这张，当我们用来做这个基础麦芽的时候，通常只需要烘干就可以。那么如果要生产到烘焙麦芽，就是烘烤麦芽和焦糖麦芽，都会需要用到这个烘烤炉。那么左边这张图上面所显示的呢，是我们一套比较传统的设备，在我们的老厂。我不知道大家能不能看到我的鼠标啊，我来注视一下，能看到我的鼠标吗？在左边这个2个位置，左侧和右侧一共有2个是烘烤炉，这个地方就是用来把麦芽进行烘干的。那么这是我们比较传统的，就是已经用了很多年的，在比利时西部老厂的这套设备。右边这张图所展示的呢，是我们在新厂。大家知道，我刚刚也提到了，就是欧洲国家的生产企业，他们都比较重视环保，所以在这个新厂，在比利时的东部啊，一个小镇上面，他们建的这个厂房呢，用的是太阳能板，就是在屋顶上面建了有1万平米的太阳能板，主要是用太阳能板来发电。那么这一套设备，这个2个螺旋式的塔状的设备呢，就是通过发电产生震动，那么麦芽是从这个漏斗倒进去以后，从底部通入这个螺旋上升式的塔状轨道的。在上升的过程当中，因为它有在震动嘛，然后又不断的有麦芽在输入进来，所以在上升的过程当中呢，一边往上移，一边通过加热烘烤的方式，把麦芽烤制到我们所需要的一个色度和一个程度。OK.
Okay, next please.
然后我们会给大家介绍一下我们的特种麦芽 caramel malts.
Yeah, so the first, I'm going to present you very briefly the new products. The first category is the specialty caramel malts. As you can see in green are the 5 caramel malts that we had before 2020, and in red are the new the 6 new caramel malts that we developed during last year. And as you can see for the coloration index in EBC, we try to fill the gaps between the products that we already have. We went a bit higher regarding the coloration with the Cara Café, but I would say that's the limit, because beyond that level of coloration, the aromas, they are going to look like more roasted malts. And in this category, we intend to keep caramel flavors. So that's why we don't go higher in coloration. So new products to provide new colors, but also new aroma profiles. And regarding the process, as you can see on the left, the idea is to take mature, well, say, green malt from the germination box, and then we put it in the roasting drums to produce caramel malts. It is different from the roasted malts that are produced from Pilsen malt. So basically, we bypass the kilning step.
OK， 那么我来翻译一下刚刚这个吉尔说的这一段文字的内容。请这位有一位华为手机的朋友，您不好意思再要关闭一下您的那个麦克风啊，按一下静音。我们这边背景音还是比较明显的。好，谢谢。OK， 那么这边这张 slide 上面显示的绿色的部分呢，是我们在2020年之前就已经有的。咱们国内有很多朋友可能也已经用过我们城堡的焦糖麦芽，它的效果呢应该是相当出色的。特别是有很多在酿造艾尔啤酒啊，或者是普通的这种淡色啤酒的时候，都可以加入一部分的第一款淡色焦糖，它不会改变颜色，但是会给口感增加很多的不同的口味。那么我们在2020年呢，新发展出了下面的这个6款，你们能看到的就是红色的部分。大家如果从色度上去观察，是可以发现它主要的目的是为了填充我们之前的这几款当中的色度的空缺。比如原先浅色焦糖第2款到第3款红宝石焦糖之间是20和50，那么我们就新增了这一款贝尔加焦糖麦芽，它的色度会介于两者之间。然后后面呢也是类似的功能，那么一直到再往上，现在我们能做到的颜色最深的是咖啡焦糖麦芽，它的色度呢达到350到450 EBC， 就是400左右。那么我们呢是截止到目前就不会再往再深的色度去做了，因为如果颜色再升上去呢，它可能会口味上会更加接近于烘焙麦芽，就是烘烤麦芽那些味道，就失去了原本我们做焦糖的这个意义。所有的这个直到咖啡焦糖麦芽的这个色度都仍然能保留出 caramel， 就是这个焦糖的口味，所以这个呢应该是我们目前能做的比较完整的一个系列了。在左边呢，给大家看的就是这一套做焦糖麦芽的工艺，从大麦到浸泡到发芽到烘干到绿麦芽这步都是跟做基础麦芽是一样的。那么我们做焦糖麦芽，再把湿的麦芽它是不进行立即的烘干的，而是会让它先在这个发酵罐里面，糖化罐里面，不好意思说错了，糖化罐里面将它里面的淀粉质先转成糖分，然后再去烘干。所以这就相当于在生产糖化在你们酿酒的糖化这个步骤提前到我们制麦过程中已经先做了一部分，可以节省到你们一部分的工艺。那么同时呢，这个糖最终会转化成不可发酵糖，留在啤酒里面，给你的酒带来一部分的与众不同。等会儿我们后面会详细的讲到。Okay, Gil.
Okay, so on these slides, what you can see is an aroma wheel, or a flavors wheel. The idea is to show you a big overview of the taste, the flavors, the visual aspect that a malt will give you. So here is an example for 2 caramel malts, so the Cara Gold in orange and the special Belgium in red. Compared to, and this is compared to the Pilsen malt. So obviously we do that with a comparison that is a Pilsen malt. The idea is just to provide this kind of information in the future for all the malts that we have, but it takes a lot of time. So that is the kind of information that we intend to provide in the future.
OK，那么这张图呢是我先说一下，就是大家如果在听的过程当中有任何的疑问想要打断我们的话，你可以在聊天室里面给我发信息，@我一下。那我看到了呢，等会儿会直接回复，翻译给那个老外给你们回复。或者如果你们自己可以打英文的话，也可以直接把英文打在这个聊天室里面，他们也都能看得到啊。那么这张图呢是主要是一个口味的风味轮，就是给大家展示一下我们的焦糖麦芽跟跟基础麦芽相比较，它在哪些地方有区别。大家可以看到这个颜色最浅的浅黄色就是 reference， 右边有个 reference， 这个 reference 呢，我们是选用的皮尔森麦芽做基础对比的。然后呢，两款焦糖麦芽，一个是黄金焦糖，色度在120的。它是那个浅黄色的、深黄色的、偏橘色的这种，然后最深的那个红色呢是我们的特种比利时特种 B Special B， 这个很多可能国内的有很多酒师都有用过我们这两款麦芽啊。那么它在风味上呢会体现出来跟基础麦芽的区别。这个图大家可以留着做备用，今后在用到的时候，在设计你的啤酒配方的时候可以参考。OK， Gil。
Okay, next then, please. So here's a summary of the information you can find on our website. For each malt, we obviously provide the technical information about the color, but you will also find a lot of different information about the protein content, saccharification time, the beta-glucans, everything is provided on our website. So for the Cara Belga, as I explained, the idea is to target the aromas between the Blanc, the Cara Blanc, and the Cara Ruby. And for the Cara Ambra and the next one, the Cara Aroma, we try to be between the Cara Ruby and the Cara Gold. So again, this idea was to fill the gaps regarding the coloration and the aroma profiles.
Okay. So we will not going to explain one by one all these. Okay.
No, it's going to be too long.
OK， 这边呢就是给大家，我这个 PPT 等会是可以分享给你们的啊，你们也可以，如果需要的话也可以截图。在这个里面呢，我们所有的新款麦芽，它的基础信息在我们的官方网站上都有。今年呢，我们会给大家展示出中文版本的。那么如果你们有需要看，现在就想看到这个中文信息的呢，可以跟我私聊，我这边有的信息都可以提供给你们。那么就像我们刚刚在做列表介绍的时候所提到的。新款的这一些焦糖麦芽，它主要的目的是为了填充以前缺失的那一些色度。那么，这个里面每一款都会介绍它的上色的一些程度，还有它的口味适合做哪一些啤酒，并且我们的推荐比例等等。那么，比如说这个前面两个颜色最浅的，相对较浅的两个是贝尔加焦糖麦芽和琥珀焦糖麦芽。那如果你们就是有一些英文基础的话，也可以去看我们这边的英文名称啊，比如说 Cara Belga 左边的，对吧？还右边是 Cara Ambra。那么这个呢，就跟我们袋子上，就是以后你们拿到的那个产品袋子上面的标注是一样的。其他中文的呢，是因为是我们翻译过来的，所以袋子上可能不一定会显示，可能小标签上有，但是袋子上是英文的，这样可以更加方便一些。那么我们这边呢就不会再一个一个的单独来介绍这些每一款产品了，资料等一下会发给你们的啊，不用担心。好 ，OK Gil。
Okay, so we really often receive questions on our email address that is on the bottom of the slide, info@castlemalting.com. So we often receive questions about caramel malts, especially how to use them in specific recipes. So if you are a brewer, don't hesitate to contact us about how much of this type of malt you should use in this recipe, or if you are hesitating between different type of caramel malts in your recipe or related to anything, you can contact us regarding our products.
OK， 那么这个呢，下面底部有一个技术支持的咨询邮箱，就是 info@castlemalting.com。那么如果大家就是想要直接跟老外沟通的话，都可以发给他啊。那当然你们也可以来跟我联系，等下我会把我的联系方式留给你们。这边呢有很多酒师来自全世界各地的，都会给我们的酿酒师和我们的技术团队提一些问题，我们有专门的技术团队来给大家解答各种各样的酿酒上面的问题。比如说你们想要设计一款什么样的酒，觉得或者是在使用我们的焦糖麦芽过程当中遇到什么样具体的问题，都可以来跟我们沟通。那这几个呢，现在展示在屏幕上的是我们已经收到过的，目前经常会有遇到的问题。OK。
Okay, then next, please.
Roasted malt.
Yeah, the roasted malt. Now, the second category in which we developed only one new product, it is the roasted malt. So as you can see in green are the previous malts that we had, so before 2020. And we decided to develop a new one, that is the Chateau Chocolat Light in red. So this one is between the Chateau Café and the Chateau Chocolat. As you can see, there is a 500 EBC gap between the two. And the idea was to target the perfect middle ground between these two malts. So you will get some flavors from the Chocolat Light, from the Chocolat, malt Chocolat, but you won't get as much bitterness as in the Chocolat. So it's kind of the middle between the two.
OK， 那么城堡的烘焙麦芽呢，其实可能就相对更加有名。我们主要是烘焙麦芽非常出名啊。在这个系列当中，大家可以看到啊，从饼干麦芽其实就已经是一个非常经典的城堡的烘焙麦芽了，在很多配方当中加一些饼干麦芽，我们有一期专门的视频，就是讲饼干麦芽加一点的话，它的那个麦香味、饼干香气会很浓郁。那么我们去年2020年新做的这一款烘焙麦芽叫浅色巧克力麦芽，是介于咖啡麦芽和巧克力麦芽之间的。那么你们可以看到，我们的原来的咖啡麦芽500 EBC 到巧克力麦芽1000 EBC 之间呢，有500个这个差距。那么这次做的这个浅色巧克力麦芽呢，是介于这两者之间，它的主要功能是能够做出巧克力麦芽的那种香气，但又不会带出巧克力麦芽的那种苦味。所以这个是相当于是将咖啡麦芽和巧克力麦芽的一个结合，一个折中。Okay.
Okay, so you can move to the next. Please.
Okay. I see a question from a participant. He asks, which malt do you recommend for hazy IPA and what percentage? Maybe we can answer him later.
Yeah, maybe at the end, especially because this question is not related to the Chocolat Light. Obviously, in a hazy IPA, you won't use this one. So maybe we can answer questions at the end. It will be more efficient.
是这样啊，这位欧麦小欧是吧？我们那个等一下在结束的时候会针对于我现在就是说过程当中可能是，比如说我们现在在讲到浅色巧克力麦芽，那么针对这个如果有问题的话，您可以直接提，那么我们会马上的给您答复。如果说是跟这个目前当前话题不相关的呢，我们等会在结束的时候一起给您回复。还有一位朋友好像听不到声音，如果哪位方便可以帮他交流一下，我这边就先往下进行了，因为我们时间也有限制。OK。This is a presentation for the Chocolat Light. They can find on the website anyway.
Yeah.
那么这边这个是我现在 slide 上面显示的是浅色巧克力麦芽的一些基本信息和推荐使用的方法，大家可以先参考一下。
Okay. So now for the specialty smoked malts, so we noticed that a lot of brewers tend to use smoked malt in very original beers. and we only had one smoked malt that is in green, so the barley smoked malt that is 4 to 12 EBC, so it's a pale, basically a pale malt that is smoked during the process. The idea is, as you can see on the left, we produce a pearl malt, so through the three usual steps, steeping, germination, kilning. But during kilning, we will burn beech wood, so the green malt will absorb the phenols and it will get these smoked flavors during the kilning process. And we decided to add a wheat smoked malt. So this is a wheat version of the previous one. So as you can see, the same color, but be careful because the content of phenols is much higher in the wheat smoked malt. It's about 15 ppm compared to 5 ppm for the barley smoked. So it's about 3 times more smoky flavors for the wheat version of this malt.
Okay. Okay. We can see it here. 是这样子的啊，就是这边呢，我们我不知道有没有朋友用过我们之前城堡的烟熏麦芽。以前呢，我们主要是做烟熏大麦芽，它的工艺呢是在大麦浸泡发芽以后，在烘干的过程中通入那个烟熏的烟雾，这样呢让那个麦芽在烘干的时候就把这个烟雾吸收进去，它自身就会带出，在酿酒的时候就会带出那种烟熏口味来。我们以前做的，大家从颜色色度上可以看出来，4到12个 EBC 它是一个浅色麦芽，它不上色啊。那么它主要的功能呢，就是带出这种烟熏的口感来。在大麦芽呢，我们做的这个就是烟熏味，它其实主要是靠它的那个分类物质。对，烟熏味主要是靠分类物质来体现的。那么大麦芽当中是5个 ppm， 而我们现在所新开发的新做的这一款小麦烟熏小麦芽，它的分类物质含量大概在15个 ppm， 也就是说，使用烟熏小麦芽所带来的烟熏味会是烟熏大麦芽的3倍左右，更加浓郁一些。Okay,
good. Thanks. So, yeah.
Which one? This one or the next slide?
Yeah, this one is only a description you can find on the website again. So yeah, just be careful regarding the use of this one because it's very smoky.
Okay. 那么大家这个是它的一个介绍啊，大家在使用，如果在用到这个烟熏小麦芽的时候要小心一点，就是说量不要一下子加太多，特别是如果你不是做威士忌酒，而只是想要在啤酒当中带一些烟熏味的话，用量要一点一点加，否则一下子会很呛。Okay, so we are moving to the flocking. Okay.
Yeah, so the flakes and the raw cereals. Oh, you can see this is the previous version. I don't know why there are 3 dots. We normally have the coloration. So, well, basically we decided to add a new flakes and new raw cereals because, as you might know, we have been through a trend, a very large fashion for high PAs. So now we are moving from high PAs to sour beers. So the wind is going to change in a lot of craft breweries. And what we receive a lot as a demand from the brewers was to add flakes and raw cereals because they are largely used in this kind of beer style. So that's why we decided to add raw cereals like raw oats. We also added the raw barley that is not on the slide. And we had 3 types of flakes: oat flakes, rice flakes, and maize flakes. That Gabriel is going to talk about during the second part.
Okay. 那么这一页所展示的呢是我们的麦片和生麦芽系列啊，生麦系列。 城堡呢之前就一直有在提供大麦片和小麦片，那么今年新出的这几款，包括像生麦芽、燕麦片、大麦片、大米片这种啊，还有一些其他的燕麦方面的这个产品，它的主要呢是随着国际上的一个趋势，之前几年流行的可能更多的是偏向于 IPA 风格的啤酒，那么现在呢正在逐渐的向这个酸啤的口味上面去转变。那么其实在欧美国家通常做酸啤呢又会用到很多这种生麦芽，所以我们今年会多推出几款这种生的麦芽片或生的那个麦子谷物，因为不仅仅是麦子还有米和玉米，所以我只能说是生的谷物这方面来转移。那么等一下在第二位就是 Gabriel 他在介绍的时候会主要给大家谈一下这几款新的麦子的品种如何使用的。OK.
Okay, next. So yeah, for these specs, for this specification, Gabriel is going to talk about their use. So I'm not going to go into the details for these two next slides. So you can move to the next one.
Okay.
So we have okay. Next. So the category I'm not going to talk a bit are the specialty wheat malts. So as you can see, we already had 5 wheat malts. I would say that the 3 first one are low coloration base wheat malts, and the 2 others, the Crystal and the Chocolat, they are more roasted wheat malts, so more roasted flavors from these ones. And we wanted to add 2 additional roasted malts, so that are the Froment Arôme and the Froment Café, because we received a lot of demand from the brewers for new roasted wheat malts. And the other you can see is the Chateau Emmer. The Chateau Emmer is a base wheat malt, but that is very special. This one is from another wheat species. This is an heirloom, an ancient wheat grain. So that is for brewers who want to use something very original in their recipe. They will find new flavors with this one.
OK. 那么这边是我们的小麦芽啊，小麦芽城堡的小麦芽呢也是一大特色。我们可以不仅仅做原小麦，就是白小麦，还可以做出不同色度、不同烘烤程度的小麦芽。那么大家在右边可以看到，从它的从它的色度 EBC 上面显示出来，其实原先在150到就是水晶小麦芽到巧克力小麦芽之间，它是有一段空缺的。那么有一些很多酒师都会跟我们说，希望我们多出一些烘烤类的小麦芽。所以呢，今年就是我们主要出了2款，一个是红色的第一个焦香小麦芽，还有一个是最后一行咖啡小麦芽。大家可以看到这2个颜色啊，色度是填充了我们原先的空缺。这2个呢，主要会给大家在使用小麦芽的同时，带来一些烘烤麦芽的香味和香气和口味。那么另外还有一个中间的这个2粒小麦芽 Emmer， 大家可以看到二粒啊，就这边我是把它翻译成2粒小麦芽，我是查了一些相关的文献。那么这种麦子呢，它是与小麦我们常用的小麦不太相同的这种品种，它是欧洲非常古老的一种小麦子，所以它其实从色度上看，它其实是属于淡色麦芽的一类，它是跟小麦芽是一样的，差不多是就是不会上色的，但是呢，它是归为这种基础麦芽，它用在配方当中会带来一些不同的口味啊，它的味道是不一样的。所以如果等到我现在手上还没有样品，如果等我拿到样品以后，我如果给大家尝试去试酿的话，它的意思是说会感受得到它与原先的小麦不一样的口感。Okay, Gil.
Okay, thank you. You can move to the next. Yeah, on this one, well, as you can see, the Chateau Emmer is basically produced from Trichocum dicocum. As you can see, that's the name of the ancient domesticated grain. And the two others, the Chateau Arôme and the Chateau Wheat Café, they are the new roasted wheat malts that we introduced in 2020.
OK， 那么这边两个介绍呢，主要是针对2粒小麦芽和焦香小麦芽的一些介绍，基本信息的介绍啊。大家可以看到这个左边说2粒小麦芽是一个古老的小麦品种，它没有皮，也叫 Emmer 啊，就是也叫2粒小麦。那么它呢，相对来说就是它的特征是跟小麦相比，麸质含量更少，并含有更多的矿物质。那么这边具体的信息我们就不再一一介绍了，因为时间关系，大家都可以去我们的网站上查看。OK， Roman Café。
Yeah, you can move to this one. That's a basic description. That's a very high roasted flavors, but still a wheat malt. So you will get the advantage of the very roasted flavors, but still using wheat and not barley.
OK， 那么这个咖啡小麦芽呢，它其实跟我们就是用不同的麦子跟大麦是一样的效果啊，这个烘烤的程度和烘烤的这种口味啊就会很明显了，但是我们没有用大麦，还是在小麦上。OK，
for now I'm going to introduce a table that is summarizing all the organic malts that we are providing at Castle Malting. So as you can see in black, we already had quite an extensive range of organic malts. So these are just malts that have a conventional counterpart in our catalog, but we decided to add 9 new organic malts, as you can see in red. Some of them we just decided to produce some conventional malts in the organic version because we received increasing demand for them. And for others like Chateau Cara Arôme, Cara Cristal, Cara Café, these are new products that we decided to produce in both versions, conventional and organic, because we believe that this kind of new malts will be very successful also in the organic sector.
OK, understand. 那么这一页呢，我没有把每一款麦芽都翻译上啊，要不然字会太小，看不清楚。我把大类给大家标注了一下，还是跟刚才一样，黑色的呢是我们原先就有的，红色的是今年新研发出来的几款。大家可以在我们的目录册上看到，其实每一款有机麦芽都是有对应的传统的这种麦芽的，它只不过是2种不同的生产方式。有机的呢，它会对于所谓的有机，其实它是各种绿色的，就是不能打农药，不能对土壤管理，对于大麦种植的土壤管理、生产工艺的管理等等，它都是专用的。所以呢，它在欧盟认定的标准有一整套的标准来控制它。那么我们在生产的时候呢，就是有一部分是用来做原始的这种做法，也有一部分是用来做有机的做法。这样，所以大家可以对比出来，有很多系列是对应的。那么我们在今年新做的几款麦芽，比如说像这个刚刚前面有显示到的焦香焦糖麦芽、水晶焦糖麦芽、咖啡焦糖麦芽这几款，我们在设计的时候就同时做了2个版本，一个是传统的版本，一个是有机的版本。因为这些麦芽一方面是受到全球这种做有机啤酒的趋势发展的需要，还有一方面呢，我们认为这几款肯定是会有用的，大家会用得到的。所以可能这个风以我的感受来看的话，在国内还没有完全兴起。在几年以前，多补充几句，这个他没有说到。几年以前我在做展会啊，或者是做一些相关的介绍和酒师们交流的时候，大家对于有机麦芽和有机啤酒其实还是不太关注的，基本上不太会有人认，因为它相对价格会比普通麦芽贵一些。那么今年呢，从去年开始，2020年开始，就有越来越多的人来关注这个东西所以城堡目前呢也在跟中国的认定机构联系，希望他们能够在疫情过后到我们工厂去做一些相关的认证，让中国国内也认可我们的有机品种。在大势所趋来临的时候，我们就要做好这种准备。OK，
Okay, oh yeah, maybe something to add is that now we have 41 organic products. So that is, I think, the largest product offer that you can find in any malt house around the world. That is very, very large product offer for the organic products.
OK，顺便提一句，就是我们现在这个有机的品种啊，可以达到41种。那么这个在全世界呢，就是绝无仅有，只有我们城堡可以做得到这么大范围的提供不同有机麦芽的品种啊。OK。
Okay, thank you. Now I finished for my part, so I'm going to give some time to my colleague Gabriel. We'll talk to you about some useful tips for brewing with adjuncts and also talk about seasoned beers. So thank you very much, and I remain at your disposal if you have any questions at the end of the webinar.
Okay, thank you. 那个吉尔跟大家先道个别，因为他的部分就讲到这边为止了。接下来呢，由我们另外一位同事 Gabriela， 他来给大家介绍，主要是针对于每一款麦芽的它的使用方法和一些 tips。那等一会儿当大家提问的时候，吉尔还是会来的。OK。
Thank you, Gil. Thank you very much, and thank you, Celine, for your translation. Now I'm going to share a few ideas on tips on how to use and why to use specialty malts and brewing adjuncts to design any beer. So the first thing that I'd like to share is the idea of how to design a grain bill of any beer. So to do this, we use two different types of malt. We use a base malt and you use a specialty malt. The base malt will give most of the components of the mash and of the beer. Will give us the starch to be converted into sugars, while the specialty malts are going to give us different colors, flavors, and aromas. And the quality of those two are very important. So, yeah, you can translate this first part.
Yes, I will translate first. OK， 那这位是 Gabriela 啊，他是我们去年加入城堡团队的一位非常资深的酒师，并且他还在攻读酿酒方面的专业的，应该是硕士还是博士，我也不太清楚。所以他呢也是抽时间来给我们做一些相关的讲解。这边呢，他就先从最基本的一个道理讲起，就是我们大家都知道啊，酿酒它是需要基础麦芽和特种麦芽这两个部分。基础麦芽呢，主要的功能就是提供淀粉质转化成糖分来供酵母去消耗。那么特种麦芽呢，它的功能就是提供色香味。所以这两个部分，它的 quality 它的质量都是非常重要的。OK。
Thank you. So also to produce these different type of aromas and flavors and colors, we have different types of specialty malts. We have the kiln malt, we have caramel malts, roasted and smoked malts. So the kiln malts, they're the first step to bring some complexity to the beer. They have different aromas and colors, and they can be used up to 60% in the grain bill, as they have slighter lower aromas and flavors than the other malts, and also they have more enzymatic power. So we can use up to 60% in the grain bill.
OK， 那么
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry， 那我们大概是分为这样几类给大家来说啊。第一部分是像烘焙的麦芽，第二部分呢是焦糖麦芽，第三部分是烟熏麦芽，第四部分是就是深色的麦芽，基础麦芽跟深色麦芽的对比。那像烘干麦芽，它可以使用到的比例能够达到60%，因为它本身还是会带有一些发酵力的。它可以提供必要的这种糖分基础物质，以及一定程度的发酵力，所以它使用的比例60%还是比较多的。Okay,
so we also have the caramel malts. As Gil presented, they've been through a caramelization process in the malting house, and they'll give sweet notes to the beer. They give some sweet caramel notes to dark caramel notes. And we suggest to use up to 30% in the grain bill, as they can have quite intense flavors, and also they do not have enzymatic power.
OK， 那么刚刚我有一句漏掉了，就是说在烘干麦芽这部分讲的时候，它其实主要功能是给啤酒带来一些更多的麦芽香气。就如果说只是用基础麦芽的话，它是会比较清淡的一个啤酒风格。当我们加入一部分烘干麦芽的时候，它的香味就会更加复杂一些，更加丰富一些。那么就是 Gabriel 讲到的第二个麦芽，就是我们的焦糖系列。焦糖系列呢，其实它的重点就是在这个糖字上面，它会给啤酒带来香甜味。但是要注意的就是焦糖麦芽，它其实类似于咱们国内就是叫的糊精麦芽这一类吧，它本身是没有发酵力的，所以它一定要搭配着一些发酵力比较强的，比如基础麦芽或者说是其他的麦芽来共同生产。那么我们推荐它所使用的比例呢是30%。OK。
We also have the roasted malts that are gonna impart in those those coffee, those roasted notes to the beer. So they're gonna bring more color to the beer as well. And we suggest to use up to 10% in the grain bill.
OK， 那么第三类在右下角的这个烘焙麦芽啊，它的主要功能呢就是调色。大家比较熟悉的，像我们城堡的咖啡麦芽、巧克力麦芽这一类，它的功能呢就是一般可以用来做深色世涛，或者说是做颜色比较深的这种琥珀啤酒等等。除了颜色以外，它还会带一些烘烤的香气。那么我们推荐呢，它是不超过10%的用量比例。OK。
And finally, we have the smoked malts. They've been through a smoked process in the malting house, as Gil presented earlier, and they impart into smoked bacon and dry meat notes into the beer. Very special beers. We can use this type of malts, and we suggest to use up to 10% of the grain bill, as they can be quite intense.
OK， 这边首先有一位先生，您的那个可能是不是刚刚进来的？您的那个麦克风要关一下啊，按一下静音。然后他刚刚说到的第4个类别呢是烟熏麦芽，这边有注释写的，烟熏麦芽主要是可以带来一些像熏制肉干的这种气息，它的口味呢是比较浓的，比较重的，所以大家在用的时候要控制一下用量，一般我们推荐10%就足够。OK。
So we can play. Just one more thing about that slide. We can play with these different types of specialty malts to design any different beer style that we want.
OK， 那么大家呢，根据你们所想要设计出来的这个啤酒的口味和需求来调配、来配置不同麦芽的比例，最终达到你们的目的。OK。
So next slide, please. Yes, so we can also use brewing adjuncts to brew beer, and they're quite similar to the specialty malts, as in the sense they bring different aromas and flavors to the beer, but they also can be used to give different mouthfeel, enhance the drinkability, lighten the body and the color of the beer.
OK， 那么我们在酿酒的过程当中呢，除了加原料、麦芽原料以外，有时候还会增加一些辅料。那么这些辅料呢，跟原料一样，它可以调整一些口味呀、色泽啊等等。那么同时也可以补充我们的原料当中所缺失的部分，达到我们的一些酿造目的。OK。
And to brew with brewing adjuncts, we have to remember they are quite different in the composition of the malted barley. And we have to consider a few parameters in the brewing process, like no enzymatic power. They normally do not have any enzymatic activity. We also need to know the starch gelatinization temperature. We need to know if it's in the same range of the mashing temperatures or not, if it's above or below. The composition, we also need to know. We need to know the level of proteins, the glucans, to correct adjust or mashing protocol. We also need to know the impact in color of the finished product and the beer. And finally, we need to know if this adjunct has husks or not, to know if they're gonna impact in the wort filtration or not.
OK， 那么为了达到我们的目的啊，就不同的辅料，就是除了大麦、小麦这种原料以外，其他的一些辅料，它的功能可以是，比如说增加混浊度，增加混浊度， 或者调整它的糖度等等。那么在使用这一些辅料麦芽的时候呢，大家要注意几个方面。首先第一点，就这个麦芽它有没有发酵力。通常情况下，这一些辅料是不太会具有发酵的功能的啊。那么它是搭配着我们的主原料来使用。那么第二点呢，就是你们要注意的是温度，糖化温度。它有一些麦芽的温度，它是跟大麦、小麦是不一样的。那么第三点呢，就是大家还要关注它里面的一些蛋白质啊、葡聚糖啊等等，它对于后道的一些颜色的影响都会有作用。那么第四点呢，就是要关注一下这些辅料有没有外皮，有没有壳，因为这个壳会影响到我们过滤的速度、它的粘度等等，在这些方面都会影响到我们的酿造工艺。OK.
We can go to the next slide.
Okay.
And here we have a table of the most used adjuncts to brew beer. So let's take a look at them. So we first are going to talk about maize and rice. They're quite similar to each other. They have a low protein composition with high carbohydrates, high starch, and they're normally used to brew beer to lighten the body and the color of the beer and enhance drinkability. And the difference between maize and rice relies in the taste, actually. So maize has a quite sweeter taste, while rice has a more dry and crisp aftertaste.
OK. 那么这张表呢，是我们城堡今年出的这个几款辅料的一个对比，也是一个总结。大家可以如果需要的话，可以把这个截图备用啊。首先我们介绍一下玉米片和大米片这两款。这两款呢，其实非常接近，总体上它的特征很接近，都是属于蛋白质偏少、碳水化合物含量较高的这样一个特征。那么它们这两款都是适合用来酿造这种颜色比较淡、比较清爽的、口味很清爽的这种啤酒。那么它两者之间的区别呢，就是玉米可能会更甜一点。其实我个人这最后一句话不是他说的啊，我个人理解的是这个可能跟酿造的习惯有关。像咱们国内很多酿造工业啤酒啊，什么都是习惯用大米。那么在欧美国家呢，他们因为种植玉米比较多，所以他们会更加偏向于使用玉米。那它的感觉是，只是会有那么微微的一点点差别，就玉米会更甜一点点。OK.
We also can use wheat. Wheat has a high level of proteins in its composition, and it's normally used to enhance the beer body, enhance head retention, and improve the haziness of the beer. And also the taste of wheat is quite unique and distinctive.
The taste is, sorry?
The taste is unique. Wheat has its own taste.
OK. 那么第二款是小麦啊，小麦呢，它的特征就是蛋白质比较多，也就是因为这个特征导致了它酿造出来的啤酒，它的酒液的浑浊度会高一些，就它会浑浊一些。除此以外呢，它的泡沫会更加丰富和稳定一点。还有一点就是小麦它本身有自己的独特的口感，跟大麦是有一些区别的。那喝过的就都知道了。OK.
We also can use oats to brew beer. So oats has a high level of proteins, high level of glucans, but also high level of lipids. We need to be aware of this. It's normally used to enhance the beer body and enhance red retention like wheat. And oats also are used to promote that creamy, like silky mouthfeel once you're drinking the beer.
OK. 那么第三个呢是燕麦。燕麦呢，大家我不知道有没有先用过啊，在我们城堡的麦芽当中，燕麦也是比较有名的。它的特征呢是蛋白质比较多，同时就是跟小麦相比，它还含有更多的葡聚糖和脂蛋白。脂蛋白呢，这个其实不是我们非常喜欢的一个东西啊。那大家要先了解清楚。但是燕麦的功能呢，是它的口感会比较丝滑，比较柔滑这种感觉啊。同时它跟小麦一样，可以增加泡沫的一个稳定性、粘性。
Yeah.
OK.
So yeah, and finally we can use rye to brew beer. Rye has a moderate level of proteins, high level of glucans. It's very difficult to brew with rye. And we normally use rye to add its own flavors and taste. It is quite a crispy and spicy taste. It's very good to when you brew specialty beers.
OK， 那么最后这边页上最后一款呢是裸麦，裸麦的特征呢就是它也是蛋白质含量适中，葡聚糖较多，但是它的最大的一个与众不同的点就是它略带一些辛香味，有一点辣味。那么这个裸麦呢就用来，比如说我们想要做一款口味比较独特的精酿啤酒的时候，就会选择去使用这种不同的麦子，独特的麦子来给啤酒增加一些特有的风味。OK。
We can go to the next slide. Yes, so knowing all of that, now I'm going to give you a few tips on how to adjust your brewing process based on the composition of the adjunct. So,
那我们了解了前面这些信息，接下来就会具体的来谈一谈这个每一种的不同的使用方法。Okay, sorry.
So if the adjunct has no husks, for example, if you're using a lot of wheat, we can use rice hulls to promote a better wort filtration to help in the bed of the filter.
OK， 首先那外皮这个我觉得咱们酿酒师应该都知道啊，就是如果说我们用很多小麦，那这个时候如果过滤层不够，就加一些稻壳就可以了。
If the adjunct has high levels of glucans, so for example, if you're using a lot of oats, or maybe you're brewing with raw materials, we can do a gum rest around 37 degrees to break down those glucans.
OK， 那第二个呢问题呢，就是比如说当我们使用燕麦的量比较大的时候，这时候可能考虑到它的葡聚糖含量比较高，会影响到它后面的过滤啊这些问题。那么我们就建议在糊化锅的温度控制在30、40度的时候停留片刻。
And
okay.
if the adjunct has high levels of proteins, we can also do a protein rest around 45-52 degrees to break down those proteins. So if you're using a lot of wheat, for example, we can do this protein rest.
OK， 那比如说如果我们用到大量的小麦芽，这时候蛋白质含量太高呢，我们可以在45到52摄氏度之间停留片刻，这个过程是叫做蛋白质休止。Okay.
If we're using cereal with low level of protein, so for example, if you're brewing with a lot of rice and maize, we can also do a protein rest, but for a different reason. So we wanted to break down those proteins to promote more amino acid production to perform a good and healthy fermentation.
OK， 那么如果说大家在使用到比较大量的玉米和大米的时候呢，这个时候蛋白质含量反而会低。那我们的操作同样是在45度到52度之间停留片刻，但它的功效是不一样的。这个时候我们会将蛋白质降解下来，以促进氨基酸的产生，从而产生一个比较健康的发酵。不好意思。OK，
yes,
next slide.
Just before we move to the next slide,
yes.
This all depends on the percentage of the adjunct.
OK， 那么这里面所有的操作都是要取决于我们配方当中不同原料的这个配比。
Yes, next slide.
Okay.
So that was all for the tips on how to and why to use brewing adjuncts to brew beer. I hope it was very insightful, and hopefully you're gonna inspire you to brew different beers.
OK， 那么这个呢，之前这部分到这里就是对于我们新增加的这些辅料的一些使用方法和建议，希望对大家呢有一些启发。那么如果在用过程当中有问题，都可以跟我们联系啊。
Yes, so now I'm gonna present a beer style, a different beer style. I'm gonna present the beer recipe for a traditional Belgian Saison.
OK， 那么接下来呢，他会具体的跟大家聊一下这个我们的几款精酿啤酒的类型，比如第一款就是赛松。OK。
So this style is originally from Wallonia, the French-speaking part of Belgium, and Saison actually means season, and it's named Saison because it used to be brewed for the seasonal workers who was working in the farms back in the days, helping in the harvest periods.
OK， 那么赛松呢，这个其实我在从2016年到这个现在的这个几场研讨会当中，每次都会提到，它其实是起源于比利时南部这个法语区法语大区。 它呢一开始只是用于做季节啤酒，它的这个词 Saison 这个词，它本身这个的含义就是季节，就是指它是将季末的一些农场上的谷物都收集起来酿造，然后等到那个丰收季节，有一些工人来收割麦子的时候，给这些工人喝的这个酒，我们就称之为赛松。OK.
So you can move to the next slide.
Yes.
Yes. So this beer has a quite unique profile. In the aroma, it's very aromatic with a lot of fruity and spicy notes produced by the yeast, and also some hoppy notes, normally herbal notes. It is very pleasant aroma. In the flavor, on the taste, it matches perfectly with the aroma, but also has a low to medium maltiness, like low body, and also a moderate to high bitterness.
OK. 那么这个赛松酒呢，它从香气和口味两个角度来做了一些描述啊。这边我其实文字都已经给大家翻译好了。它主要是果香、辛香，还有因为它会放很多酒花，所以酒花香气也比较浓。那么从口味上来讲呢，它是交织着或浓或淡的这种水果口味和香料味啊，透出谷物颗粒般的这种口感。OK.
So to brew this beer, we normally use a good base malt, Pilsen malt as base. We also use a few different specialty malts, and we use other grains to bring adjuncts like wheat, oats, rye, and sometimes even spelt.
Okay.
The hops, they're very common hops. They're very continental hops, European continental hops. You can use Sass, Citerion, or East and Goldings. And we also can use some herbs and spices to bring extra complexity to this beer.
OK. 那么赛松呢，因为它从香气上来讲，它还会带出一些像香草的草本的这种味道，所以我们在使用皮尔森为基础麦芽的同时呢，还会搭配一些其他的谷物，比如小麦、燕麦、裸麦，有的时候还有一种叫斯佩尔特麦，这个呢是我们城堡也是有的这个麦芽，大家如果需要的话，可以来尝试使用这一款。那么所搭配的这些酒花呢，也是比较常用的。萨兹这个企鹅我就不再重复了啊，因为不是我们家的产品。同时呢，还可以加一些香料来突出它香味的复杂性。OK.
Next slide, please.
Yes. Sorry, this one.
Yes, and this is the beer recipe. So you can find in our website, or even if you want, you can request to us. By email, we came up with a recipe for you. And this beer, if you follow this recipe, you're gonna reach 6.5% alcohol, 10 EBC in color, and 30 IBU in the bitterness.
Okay.
And as you can see here in the table, in the top table, we use 80% of Pilsen malt and 3 different specialty malts. We use quite 4 different hops to bring some different notes, and we use Belgian yeast, a very typical Belgian yeast.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can translate this.
Yes, of course. 那么这一页呢，因为我拿到的这个原版啊，这个 PPT 的原版是法文版的，所以这张呢它又是用图片的格式，我就改不了了。所以大家看到这个是这个配方。这个今年刚出的赛松配方是我们目前所用的几种配比，这里面已经有一部分是我们刚出的这个麦芽。在使用的过程当中，如果大家觉得有某一些口味想要去调整的，你们也可以自己尝试。如果按照我们原版的这个配方来，它最终的酒精度是6.5%，那么色度可以达到10个 EBC， 那么苦味度是30，大概是这样的一个基础。OK。
Yes, so to brew this beer, you basically follow a quite simple and traditional mashing protocol. You mash in at 63 degrees, rest for 45 minutes, then rise to 72, rest for 20, and then you mash out at 78 degrees. Then you wash the grains with water at 78 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
This part has already been translated into Chinese. I think they can read and understand easily.
Okay, brilliant. So
okay.
We can move to the next slide.
OK， 那么这边我就不浪费时间了啊，因为时间关系，我已经都翻译成中文了，大家需要的话，有必要我可以在课后再联系我。OK。
Yes, these are a couple of examples you can find in the market of a Belgian Saison. And personally, I very like the Saison du Pont. I think it's a very good style and through this style.
Number 3.
Definition. Number 3, yes.
Okay.
Saison du Pont.
I think this should be on the market in Europe, not all of them in China, maybe. I'm not sure.
Probably.
那么这边几款呢是他列出来的，就是在市场上比较流行的赛松酒款的牌子。他说的市场，我跟他说，我说我不确定在国内能不能全部都找得到。他个人呢 ，Gabriel 的个人比较喜欢的是第3款，就是右上角的这个赛松杜邦的这个，觉得是比较经典传统的赛松酒。OK?
Yes, next slide, please. And this is another example of a brewery close to us in Belgium. Bruno Brewery, yes. If you somehow around Belgium, you can visit this breweries, Bras de Vaux, and they have a very nice range of saisons.
OK. 那么在前几年有了解过我们城堡公司，并且参加过我们研讨会的呢，可能都认识我们另外一个酒师叫 Bruno 的，他来中国也好几次啊。那么这个4季，这个 Four Seasons 是他这个 Bruno 自己做的酒厂的一款酒，它分为春夏秋冬。好像我记得应该来参加过上海研讨会的朋友还有品尝到过。那么也有机会的话，希望等疫情过后，可以我们到现场去参观他们的酒厂，品尝他们的酒啊。Okay.
Yes, next slide. So that's it. So thank you very much for your presence and your presentation and your patience, and a special thank you for Celine.
No problem, thank you. 那么今天呢，我们介绍呢，大部分就到这边，主要内容就截止了。接下来，如果大家有问题可以提，感谢，谢谢。So this will be the time for Q&A.
Yes.
Okay. 那还是跟刚才一样，就是我说到的，如果你们有问题，一方面呢是可以给我留中文留言，或者呢也可以直接把英文写在这个聊天框里面。We will spend about 15 to 20 minutes to answer 5-6 questions. What do you think?
Good idea.
Yes.
Okay. 那我们大概可以留个15到20分钟的时间啊，在5点半之前，因为这个时差的关系，也辛苦了大家从下午4点钟来开我们这个会。那么现在在比利时呢是早上10点多，因为有7个小时的时差，所以也只能是凑这样的一个时间段了。OK， 我看到了第一个问题，我先读一下：烘焙麦芽有进出率吗？在麦汁中是否只提供颜色 ？Okay, the first question is about the extract of the roasted malts. Do they have extraction in the wort, or it's only for the coloration of roasted malts?
So I believe he's talking about the use of roasted malt in the beer, in the brewery.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you can also use the roasted malts to give color to the beer, but also you can give flavors and aromas. So all the roasted malts, they can promote flavors like chocolate flavors, coffee flavors, roasted dark flavors. And this would be very good for styles like stouts, porter, very dark beers.
What about the starch and sugar from the roasted malts?
The starch and sugars, yeah. So they tend to do not have much starch, and so you cannot use the roasted malt as expecting to convert much of the starch left in that type of malt.
Okay, thank you. 那个这位中文啊，这位朋友，不好意思，我不知道有没有读对啊，这个发音。是这样子的，烘焙麦芽呢，它会有一部分的进出率，但是它的主要功效并不在此，不能跟基础麦芽去比。主要呢，除了提供颜色以外，还会提供一些口味和香气。这个是烘焙麦芽，就是特种麦芽在酿酒当中的主要功效。我不知道这个问题有没有解答清楚了，如果不行，您在后面再给我留言啊。那么我先看第二个问题，配方多大量？这个等会儿我可以具体帮您查一下，我们就先暂时不去问老外这个问题了啊。用量的话，应该是有一定的配比的。下次什么时候开会是吧？ 下次的会议，我们这个会呢确实是有系列的，今天主要讲的一些是新款麦芽和比如说像麦片啊什么这些生麦芽之类的这种产品。下一次会呢，我们主要是会讲焦糖麦芽，会具体的来说如何使用焦糖麦芽一些技巧。他们做酒使用的设备，这个呢可能每家它的用法是不一样，如果说您感兴趣的话，我可以单独跟他们再做一个交流，晚一点再给您单独回复，可以吗？还有其他问题吗？They asked the next question and I answered directly. It's for our next webinar. I explained this first one is only for the new malts and some information about the tips and usage. And the next presentation will be about the caramels that I'm already trying to translate.
Yes, perfect.
OK， 烟熏麦芽是用什么材料的？泥煤还是木材？哦 ，OK。I have another question about the smoked malt and the peated malt, and I think I can answer them by myself too. 是这样子的啊，这位朋友是这样子的啊，就是这个烟熏麦芽，我们城堡呢提供有几款不同的威士忌风格麦芽，一个是叫smoked malt 是烟熏麦芽，它呢是用那个榉木燃烧以后熏制而成的。同时呢，我们还有另外2款，一个是叫威士忌麦芽 whisky malt 和一个 peated malt， 就是 peat peated malt。这2款呢都是用威士忌的那个泥煤不好意思，是苏格兰泥煤，说错了。苏格兰泥煤就是从那个苏格兰挖出来的那种黑黑的煤，燃烧的时候通入的气，所以它这2款它风味是不太一样的，但都是有这种烟熏的味道。相对来说，苏格兰泥煤的味道是会更重一些。您在选用的时候，主要是参考它里面参数有一个叫phenol phenol 的值越高，它的这种烟熏味道会越浓。OK， 好，我看到下一个问题是生麦芽在酸啤酿造中的作用啊，我先看一下这个问题。Gabriel, I think this question is for you. The brewer is asking about the usage of raw malts. 生麦芽，这个是应该是 raw barley 吧 ？I think it should be raw barley.
Yes, probably.
Raw barley in the sour beer. 生的话应该是它是没有麦芽，不是发麦的，是生大麦哦。I think it should be raw barley in the sour beer.
Yes. It's quite common to use raw materials, not only barley but wheat, for example, to brew sour beers. And normally the use of this type of raw ingredient, is to help with the body of the beer. So normally
the body, B-O-D-Y. Okay.
Yes, to give an extra body to the beer, as they tend to be very low in alcohol, very low in body, and high in acidity, high in sourness. So you kind of try to help this, the lack of body, adding more raw material to add more proteins and glucans.
Okay.
But it's not necessary, so it depends on the final beer you want to design.
Okay, and about the usage, if he wants to use the raw barley,
I would say go for 10% raw barley. Maybe even flaked would be a good option. Flaked barley.
Yes.
It's a good adjunct. It's easier than the raw whole cereal.
Okay, to reach the purpose you mentioned previously.
Yes, like 10-15%.
Okay. 是这样子啊。
咱们说，
那么咱们刚刚说到，就是说这个生麦啊，就是说没有发芽的麦芽，对的，没有发芽的这个麦子大麦，用在做酸啤的当中呢，就不光光是大麦，小麦也可以啊。做酸啤呢，它主要的一个作用是它可以降低它的酒精度，因为它没有发过，它不能提供发酵所需要的糖，所以它会降低酒精度。 同时呢又提供更多的一些蛋白质啊，像葡聚糖啊这种，所以使它的酸味更加浓郁一些。所以要达到这几个目的，他建议是可以使用10%，最多不超过15%的这个生的大麦或者小麦，用麦片会更好，生麦片会更好。我不知道这个问题有这样解答有没有回答到您的需求？焙炒大麦与黑麦芽在酿酒中作用有什么区别 ？OK， 我来回答一下这位 OPPO A79的朋友提的问题啊。Okay, the next question is about the difference between roasted barley and black malt. What is the difference of these two malts in brewery? And what are the impacts of these two malts to the head, to the mousse? Oh, comment dire mousse?
Yes,
The head.
I can ask this as well. So the difference is one is a malted product, is a malted cereal, and the other one is a raw cereal. So in the malted version, most of the proteins and the glucans will be breaking down. And in the raw cereal, these proteins and glucans will be intact. And so if you want to use a roasted product, a roasted cereal to improve the head retention, I would go for the raw material, so roasted barley.
Roasted barley for a better head retention.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. 这位 OPPO A9 的朋友啊，我来讲一下刚刚我们酒师回答的这个答案。他呢是说，就这两个产品它的主要区别就是在于一个是发过芽的，一个是没发过芽的。黑麦芽呢，它是发好了以后烘干烘成深色的。那么焙炒大麦就是 roasted barley， 我们叫它是没有经过发芽的。所以发过芽以后，它里面的蛋白质、葡聚糖这种都会得到降解，都会在我们制麦的过程当中被降解开来。所以呢，它如果说您在酿啤酒的时候，对于泡沫有要求，想让它更稳定一些的话，我们是建议您使用这个生的焙炒大麦，因为它能提供更多的蛋白质来稳定啤酒上面的泡沫。为什么我也解答了啊 ？OK。So next question is， 我先看一下，不好意思，哪位的那个静音一下 ，James， 麻烦您静音一下。然后还有刚刚是说提供酸度，咱们说的提供酸度是说的应该是刚才那个生大麦是吧？对的，它一个是降低酒精度，一个是提供酸度，是这样的。好，咱们下一个问题是关于烟熏世涛，除了烟熏麦芽以外，搭配哪些麦芽比较合适？那就是相当于是提问这个烟熏世涛的配方，对吧？Okay, the next question is about a smoked stout. Apart from the smoked malt, what will be the recipe, the composition of the ingredients you would advise?
Good question, very good question. So the difference would be if you're going for a more dry stout or if you're going to a more sweet stout. That's the main difference. If you're going for a more dry stout, I would go for 10, 15, 20% of roasted malts. You can use chocolate malt, you can use black malt. I also would use some flaked barley to help with the head retention and the body of this beer. And
yes.
If you're going for a more sweet stout, I would add some caramel malt, like maybe Cara Gold would be a good idea, but also add chocolate malt and black malt to give those extra coffee roasted notes of the stout.
OK， 那么这个烟熏世涛啊，这个问题他说非常好，这是个非常好的问题。那么取决于就是您这个酒的，不光光是它是世涛，它是口味是偏向哪个方向的。通常来说呢，有两种，一种是比较干一点的，就是发的比较不太甜的这种 酒精度数会相对高一些的。那么这种情况下呢，它是建议用20%到30%的这个烘焙麦芽，比如说我们的深色麦芽以及这个大麦片、纳麦片来搭配着这个烟熏麦芽。如果说您想要做的这一个烟熏世涛，它是比较偏甜的口味，就比较柔和，度数稍微低一些的，那么就是建议您加一些我们的焦糖系列，比如说黄金焦糖是一个不错的选择。同时呢，也要搭配使用一部分的巧克力麦芽和黑麦芽，来增加它的一些色度啊、口味上的风格等等。OK。不客气。He says thank you.
Thank you.
好，那如果没有什么其他的问题的话，还有看一下啊，为什么焙炒大麦比添加黑麦芽的啤酒泡沫色泽发白 ？Okay, I have another question here. It's about the color of the head. Made by the roasted barley and the black malt. 这个好像刚才就是您提问的那个。He says, if I use roasted barley, I think the head color is whiter than the black malt. Is it clear for you, Gabriel?
Yeah, it is. Yes, you can find some different shades in the color of the head depending on the material you're using, if it's malt or maybe barley. But if you want to go for a more brown head, the success relies on the percentage of roasted material, roasted malt you're using. So, for example, if it's 10% of roasted malt and 10% of roasted barley, the head would be quite the same color. So if you want to have a more brown head, you have to use higher percentages in your recipe. 20
higher percentage of what? Sorry.
On the recipe of any roasted barley, roasted product, could be malt or barley.
Okay, so it does the color, the shade of the head does not come from only the roasted barley or black malt, right?
Yes, it's more related to the percentage of them in the recipe.
OK， 那就是 Gabriel 给这位朋友的解释是这样子的啊，就是他并不是说我们光光讲焙炒大麦和黑麦芽的对比就可以使泡沫的颜色有那么大的区别，这个更多的偏向于所使用的比例以及其他麦芽的品种。就是说，如果您用的这个整个配方当中深色麦芽的比例比较多，那么它的色泽自然就是会深一些。那如果说您的那个深色麦芽的比例比较少，那它的泡沫就是会更白一点。这个并不是这两者之间的一个区别，更多的是更偏向于它的比例关系。OK。然后我看下一个问题是修道院麦芽跟饼干麦芽在使用时风味有些什么不同？适合酿造什么样的啤酒种类？这个问题呢是这样子，就是您如果手上有我们城堡麦芽的目录册的话，可以看到每一款麦芽的介绍，它在这个介绍当中就是有使用到它更适合酿造哪一种风味的啤酒啊。这个基础信息上有，或者您等这个我们会议结束以后跟我单独联系，我可以把这个信息给您发过去，好吧？咱们就不在这边说这个问题细节问题了。烟熏麦芽和威士忌麦芽在酿造啤酒或者威士忌时如何保持它独特的香气？OK， 我来问一下这个问题啊。The next question is about the whiskey malt and the smoked malt. When I brew my beer or whiskey, how can I maintain its unique flavor and aroma of smoked malt and whiskey malt? Is it?
He wants to brew a whiskey.
Ocean 这位朋友。是欧是吗？欧吗？我不知道是不是啊。就是他问，就是你是不是想要做一个 威士忌啤酒，威士忌风味的啤酒。
不是，就是酿威士忌。
就是要做威士忌酒，对不对？
对对。
OK， 那么就是如何在做这个威士忌酒的时候，保持这2款麦芽的特有的香气。这个怎么理解？我有点不太理解它的意思。它主要的香气可能就是这个烟熏味道。
对，就是烟熏味道。
就是要保持它的烟熏味道，对吧？
对的，对的。
Okay. So Gabriel, the brewer is asking how to maintain the smoke flavor of these 2 malts when he is trying to brew a whiskey, not beer, just a whiskey.
Yes, okay. So I do not have much experience in brewing whiskey. Actually, I never brewed a whiskey. I don't know if Gil can give some input here, but I know that we have normally 2 different types of malt related to the whiskey production, which one is smoked over beechwood and the other one is smoked over Scottish peat.
Yes.
It should promote 2 different distinct flavors. But
yes.
I honestly do not have experience in brewing whiskey. How to keep it.
Okay.
Maybe I will add something here. So these are 2 different products indeed. So we are talking about phenols, but phenols are like a family of compounds. So you will get some phenols if you burn beech or if you burn peat, but these are not the same type of phenols. So that's the first thing. And if you want to get some high flavors, some very intense flavors in your whiskey, well, as Gabriel, I don't have much experience in whiskey, but for basically the first steps are, I believe, quite the same as you brew, or I would say you mash together words, a concentrate word. And if you want really strong flavors that are smoked or peated, you'll need to use concentrated peated malts. So as you have to look at the number of ppm. So if you use a 5 ppm or 10 ppm or 45 ppm, obviously you will get much stronger taste from a peated malt that is 45 ppm compared to a 5 ppm. And obviously, so this is about the intensity, and you also have to look at the amount of this malt that you're using. So I believe these are the 2 key factors. So the quantity of malts and concentration of phenol in this malt.
Okay.
But regarding the process, I don't have much knowledge. I believe that there are a lot of parameters that can be adapted to make sure you preserve the phenol concentration in your wort.
Okay, thank you, Gil. 二生是这样子的啊，就是首先呢，这2位酒师他们更多的经验也是在做啤酒。那么威士忌呢，他们也自己说经验不是非常的丰富，但是可以给你一些建议啊。首先在做这个威士忌酒的时候，你如果选用就是那个木头熏制的 smoke 的烟熏麦芽，跟选用那个泥煤熏制的，它的风味上会有一点点差别的，它不完全一样，因为它都是一些化合物的成分嘛。那么其次呢，就是如果说你想要这个味道比较浓郁一点的话，主要是监测麦芽当中的这个 phenol 的，就是酚类物质的含量。比如说我们有2款用泥煤熏制的烟熏麦芽，一个叫 peated， 就是煤熏麦芽，还有一个是叫 whisky malt， 就是威士忌麦芽。那么它这2个含量，一个是只有5个 ppm， 还有一个是45到50个 ppm， 它这2个含量肯定在酒当中你做出来的味道是不一样的。那么还有呢，就是可能在生产过程当中有一些工艺，尽可能的去保持。那么这个呢，他说我可以回头再给你做一些详细的见解，行不行？
好的，谢谢。
不客气。I think it should be the time。那今天因为时间关系，所以我觉得我们就到此结束吧。如果说大家有任何问题，可以随时发给我，或者在我们群里面给我留言都可以。 我这边跟国外沟通好了以后，会随时来把这个信息传递给你们的，好不好？时间也不早了，大家该下班，该忙活，好不好？那么 So I said I think it should be the end of today's webinar, and we thank all the participants and welcome for the next seminar.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Celine, for the translation.
No problem.
Yeah.
那么今天呢，我们这个会议就在这边到此结束了啊。那信息我等会会发给大家的，不用担心啊。我们下一期等日期定了以后，我会在群里给大家做预告，也希望你们能够多多的参与。如果有任何的信息，还是那句话，请保持跟我联系，好吗？下一次我们是主讲焦糖麦芽啊。OK，Thank you， 谢谢大家，拜拜。
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye.